Welcome to the Quiz the Music Man podcast. I'm Tony Underwood. I'm the Music Man, and we talk about all things music, and we kind of flow over into life and career and all kind of different things. So this is December 30th, 2020. This year is almost over, and a lot of people are thankful of that. In certain ways, I think it was a good year, and in other ways, it was a horrible, horrific year. The state of the world with the COVID and things like that, absolutely horrific. But we must go on, definitely understanding where people might be and have lost loved ones and have been sick themselves and have lost their own life. We've had a lot of musicians and a lot of people in the news that have been stricken. And let's just try to get through that and be there for our friends and family and our fellow men and women. And hopefully they'll be there for us too. So let's get on with our last podcast and vlog. I record this and upload it to YouTube, which you can go to see and watch some other things, watch some of my own music and some covers and like it and subscribe and share and all that stuff. And the same thing with this podcast. I hope you will engage and let me know what's going on in your life and give me some comments. Let me know if you want things to be done differently and how you would like them to be done. So here we are at the end of 2020. Let's talk about the music industry, the people who are involved in making money in music. And I have a U.S. music industry mid-year retail revenues. Now, I did mid-year because the second half of the year was probably really crazy. This is by the RIAA, which is an industry organization. And if we look at the wholesale side in billions, this year, the first half was 3.7 wholesale billion. The year before was 3.5, the year before 3.1. So it's been steady growth, which is good. The retail side this year was 5.7 billion. Last year, 5.4. Year before, 4.5. So again, nice steady growth. Now, I'm not sure what the last half of the year has been, but I think that's just kind of how it is. Let's look at the slice of the pie, the revenue for the first half of 2020. Streaming is 85% of the revenue. The next is physical sales, 7%. And this is in dollars. So when you think a digital download might be 99 cents, but they might be paying $10, $20 for a CD or an album, which album sales are up quite a bit. When I say album, I mean vinyl. Then is digital downloads, that's 6% of the market. And then sync, which is 2%. And sync is if you hear music on some other presentation, like a film, a TV, game, those kind of things. That's what sync is. And although it's a small piece of the pie, it's a lot of money if you get into it. Now let's look at streaming revenues. Paid subscriptions grew 14% to 3.8 billion. It accounts for 67% of total revenues. That's pretty good. Again, streaming revenues totally 3.4 2 years ago. 4.3 last year, 4.8 this year, and that's for just the first half of those years. The U.S. paid music subscriptions to these streaming services, first half of the year, this year is 72 million, last year 58, year before 43.7, the year before 31.5, and the year before 20 million. So since 2016, the subscriptions have grown from 20 million to 72 million. That's over a threefold increase. That's pretty good. Now, digital downloads, that's where you buy a song or an album off Apple Music and or off the Apple, the store, and keep that piece of music or from other digital services have been going down. This year, it was 351 million. The year before, 451 million. The year before, 557 million. So you can see that's really dying out. I think people will eventually not do a digital download. They'll either buy the physicality or they will just stream it. Let's see what else we have. Physical sales. Let's see, have been growing. Let's see, value. This year, physical sales were 375 million. Last year was more, 485. Well, that's interesting. Let's see how that works out. Was that right? Yeah. That's right. And let's see the difference. CDs were down quite a bit from last year. Last year was 247.9 million. This year, 129.9. LPs were up. So last year was 224.1 million. This year, 232.1, which is a positive growth. And other physical was almost the same. So what does that mean? Streaming is king. Now there are some interesting things about streaming. Spotify's the big bear, Apple's the second, and of course there's many others. And you never know who's going to really be the biggest. Now, YouTube is, I don't know if it qualifies as a streaming service itself, but it does stream music. And people are getting paid through that. You can monetize your music on YouTube. And there's other ways of doing that as well. You also have, other streaming services, such as getting your music on Twitch, on gamers and things like that for them to use. You can get that monetized. Now, Spotify has a lot of investment from the record companies. And I know record companies get a bad rap. And I have to say, on the face of it, the contracts are not the greatest for the artist. But again, don't sign the contract. Don't let them wave a bunch of money in your face and do that, or make sure you get a decent contract. The best thing to do is to really work on your career, engage with your social media followers, your fans, and similar artists. Get together with them while they're small, while they don't do anything. We just had a band here, Meet Me at the Altar. They're kind of an interesting, real high energy group. And they were just signed by a record label here. I'm in Central Florida. And it's a major label. It's a mini major. They've done major artists. They're owned, I think, by a major label, but they do a little bit maybe different kind of artists. And I looked at these artists and said, well, what was so great about them? And I looked at their socials, their Instagram. They're doing really cute posts all the time. They've really put thought into it. They're doing music videos. Sometimes it's just them jumping around, but they dress themselves up really well. The music quality is good. And if you look at their posts, they're engaging with all their people. So they're doing the right thing. So I would say do the same thing. Find your similar artists in your area and collaborate with them and engage with them and go see them and help them. And the same thing with your fans and talk to your fans. I'm just starting this out myself. When someone likes a broadcast or something I do, or likes a live stream, I try to send them a quick video thank you. I try to engage in other fans and so forth. So do that and be a little bit better known, so that when the record company or music company comes calling, you've got some leverage and you can do some things there. So that's the year in music business. Let's talk about music education, which really took a hit because, music is a group thing. Now, most of the artists are soloists, or a lot of them are, or a small group. But, music and education in schools is a group thing, a band or a marching band or a chorus or a theater group or a dance group. I'm putting that all in the performing arts. And this year was really rough on that. But it's not about not doing things socially. It's about doing them safely. And you can have performances. In fact, some schools, bands and things, they did whatever they could do. They did a hybrid. They would get together. The people that were there would distance themselves, wear masks if they could, and perform. And they would have their Zoom partners coming in. You can amplify the Zoom sound and mix that together. Some of the bands would do that every so often during the day for the school, for the teachers that were there. Sometimes the school was empty. It was just teachers. So they would do a live performance for them. I have a music school. When we had to shut down, we didn't shut down. We did Zoom calls and things like that. And let me share with you that a virtual lesson is not a video lesson. In fact, we had a lot of parents that we have a dance studio as well. In fact, my daughter runs the dance studio. She came up with the whole idea of Zoom calls because a lot of places had closed down. We're a little bit smaller studios, but all the big ones closed down, and she opened back up, and they were all later, well, what are you doing? How are you doing that? And a lot of them did it and did it poorly and just weren't able to do it. So kudos to my daughter for really getting that off and teaching us how to do that. But a lot of parents wanted a video lesson. Well, can you just video it? And that's not really a virtual lesson. There's been video lessons since the 30s. They've had film since, even before that. And you can go on YouTube and YouTube the greatest performers all the time. But believe me, that doesn't make you any better. It can teach you some things. And some people can take that and run and learn very well. But most people, it doesn't work. And in fact, most music, the best lesson is a one-on-one. Now, let me share with you that the best class or best group teacher, that is a little better than a one-on-one. However, there are so few people, I'm not one of them. I can teach a class and a group, but it doesn't best my one-on-one. And most people are like that. There's probably, one in maybe 10,000 or 100,000 that you will do better in that group than you will in individual lessons. So, and a virtual lesson is not a video lesson. That's totally different. You have to have an interaction. And this generation is used to consuming things via, what you would call FaceTime or Zoom, that just a few years ago, people wouldn't accept it. Because I try it every so often. I would pull it out and try it, and it didn't work. And a lot of places are built on just doing virtual lessons. And they do them poorly. That's a lot of places do. Some do them great. So it's a lot of work. But I would say that a one-on-one virtual lesson is almost as good as being there in person. Being there in person helps the most when you're just starting, if they need to really correct something. But most of my instructors have been able to really latch on to the virtual lesson, and the students love it. So we're back in doing one-on-one lessons as well, but we still do kind of a mix. So for the band directors and course directors and theater people, get together safely. They even have like these see-through screens, and you can make them out of plastic because your breath is going to tend to fall. So you could actually do a stage performance where people just had their little plastic rooms they would go into, or wearing a mask. They even have see-through masks, or a mask that, I've seen masks that are a picture of the person's face. So they print that on the cloth and it looks like their face. Or you can wear masks over that mask. You can wear like a full theater mask. There's many things you can do for that. But there are options to play for the group, play Facebook. The other thing you can do as a musician is play Facebook and Instagram Lives. Now, if you're a recreational player or just learning, a student, then play it for your friends, your family. Just go on and do it and post it on your Facebook or your mom's Facebook or your dad's or whatever. If you're underage, make sure you get their permission and have them set that up for you. Instagram Lives are a great way to get, now if you're wanting to make money as a musician, that's a great way to reach out and touch people with a live. You can even bring them in with you. You could bring them in, their picture shows up and you can talk to them. It's really interesting. You can do Zoom calls to your fans. If you're a musician, use your downtime to learn your craft. Practice, play different venues, maybe learn a little bit different instrument. If you're strictly an instrumental player like a drums or guitar or something other than keyboard, learn keyboard. Learn to play piano a little bit. It will help you immensely. Try new music-related things. Maybe try to learn how to record yourself. If you have an iPhone, you can use GarageBand. It comes for free. If you have Android, I know there's similar things. I know there's Audacity is a free program that you can get free plugins, and it does a lot of stuff that some of the bigger DAWs or digital audio workstations are recording things. There's lots of apps on Google Play everywhere. Get a basic app, Ableton Live, Ableton Lite. There's just tons of them. There's called Beatmaker 3. There's many others. I'm trying to think. Reaper is a for your computer. I don't know if it's an app, but you can get that for free. It's a $60 donation at some point. You can do Pro Tools free. They have a free module for your computer. If you have a higher powered tablet, there is a browser that is a PC browser. It's called web browser. You download it and then you go into that, and then it acts just like it's a PC. It is a little hinky-do on some websites, but for the most part, it does work. That might be an option. Or get a very old, some of these lighter programs, you don't need a brand new computer, man. You can get one people are throwing away and do that. So try new music-related things. Maybe just engage and get to know some of the musicians in your area. Some of the if you want to be a musician as a career, get to know some lawyers and some accountants and people that specialize in music that aren't related to the big companies. You want somebody that's independent. So do that. So let's talk about what I have learned this year. And I'm not going to step on toes, but I'm just going to give it to you straight as an educator. This is kind of what I see. And I've taught thousands of students. I've had this studio here for over 10 years now. And taught myself thousands, watched thousands of others, and I still see them. Let me go through what I'm saying, and I'm not harshing on anybody. I'm not naming anybody in particular, but this is very prevalent. We are still teaching commitment. And commitment is what you do in the place of something else. So you have to give something up. You don't know how many people I've come in and said, oh no, they're totally committed to this time. They'll be there. There's nothing that will stop me. And then the next month, well, they change soccer and they have to do this and do that. Well, that's okay. You're going to miss your lesson. And then they want me to try to make up for it or something. Well, the way we work is we reserve that time for you, and that's your time. And if you can't make it, that time's lost. Now, you can take other classes and things to make up for it, but we can't schedule another lesson. And the reason is, if you're not able to make it one time a week, what makes you think you're going to make it twice in a week? You're never able to. And in fact, the instructors can't either. They have all their times are filled. we pretty much have a wait list here. So there's no extra time for that. And I can tell you, I did an experiment one year. I had all my instructors set aside some times, normal times during the week that they would be at the studio, and had them set that up. And I offered my people one makeup a quarter. So you could have 4 makeups in a year. And you had to go into the computer and schedule it a week ahead of time, and that's it. And I had well over 200 students at the time. I had 2 people in 6 months scheduled that didn't unschedule it. And those 2 people did not make the lesson. So it is a time consideration. And I can tell you this year, I've heard from every parent, if I just had some time, if I just had the money, I'm paying for my kid, I don't have the money. I understand, I was there. And let me share with you, I've been on the other side, and I've done all these things too, so I'm not harshing on anybody. So I said, well, these parents really would like to learn. I'm going to do something for them. I'm going to do something I think is good. So I sent out things, and on Saturdays I started giving open lessons on Facebook Live. And I said, if you want a lesson, just contact me. We'll set up a time. It's virtual. You don't have to show up. You can do it at your kitchen table or in your car, sitting in the parking lot of Burger King, having you a burger, whatever. Go to the park. You're sitting at home. Most people are sitting at home, so you can do it at home. And the cost will be $0, free, absolutely nothing. If you have somebody coming to my studio, and maybe if you don't have somebody, and maybe if you're a student that just can't afford it, I said, just give me a shout out. Now, of course, I'm not the greatest teacher in the world, but I will tell you that when I open up time, at one time I would carry over 60 students a month, seeing them each week. And let me tell you that the word for that is stupidity. I was stupid. Now you say, well, that's only 30 hours, but listen, it's not. It's 60 people you're dealing with every week. And, it's a lot of work because you don't have any time between. You have to do them all between 4 and 8 in the evening because that's when kids are available. And it's a lot, but I did it. And anytime I open up a day or so, sometimes we'll get a lot of kids in at one time. I don't want to hire in a bunch of new instructors because I'm very careful of who I hire, and it's a long time period to hire them. So I'll do some overflow. I said, well, I'm going to take you. You want to go with this instructor? They don't have anything available right now. They're going to, some people tell you when they're going to leave in a couple months, or summertime, Christmas usually have some changing. So I'll take them on. No matter how many hours I open, I fill them up. So I will say people do think that I am capable and like to take lessons from me. So I did this for 6 months. I gave lessons over the Facebook. I was there. I guitar, piano, voice, you name it. I was giving a lesson every Saturday, sometimes during the week. You can look on my Facebook. I saved some of them. And I'll tell you how many people took me up on that offer. You ready for this? Absolutely 0. 0 people decided that they would like to have a free lesson that they didn't have to go anywhere and they could do anytime they want.